We had never seen a training camp like this, and we'll probably never see another one again in our lifetime. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm really excited to be bringing you another DCC video. If you haven't seen my other DCC videos, check them out. But this one is very long as we are recapping the entire COVID bubble season. Because again, this is something we've never seen before. From the very short training camp to all the veteran cuts, we're going to dissect it all. Now, we didn't even know if DCC was going to be having a training camp this year. We didn't even know if there was going to be cheerleaders this year, let alone a football season, because the world was turned upside down with the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a completely different time, and I can't believe we all lived through it. I think it's important to shout out the Dallas Cowboys for their commitment to doing the training camp and the commitment to the dancers for creating a team, because as we know, there was a lot of teams that were either cut short or cut altogether. The Chargers girls are a great example of that. They had been around since the 1990s, and they were a pivotal part of NFL cheer. Due to COVID, they just never came back, and the Chargers don't have cheerleaders anymore. Because of COVID, we never got back the in-person auditions from DCC. So the auditions where anybody could show up on audition day and freestyle for 60 seconds in front of the judges, where they'll dwindle it down to the semifinals the next day, where they would learn a bit of choreography and then do the kick line, followed by finals in a few weeks' time. So that plan that happened for many years, the audition process was canned because of COVID, and they completely changed the way they did things. And because of the rarity of the COVID year, the audition process was different as well. Kelly and Judy mentioned they had 1,545 applicants, and they hadn't seen those kinds of numbers since the 80s. Like I mentioned, they changed the way they did auditions. So round one was send in a personalized message explaining where you are and where you are from, followed by a 60-second freestyle video of you freestyle dancing to any song of your choice. They dwindled down the candidates from there, and they ended up still doing the interview point of the audition process, something they don't do anymore, but it's when there was a panel interview originally where there was multiple judges, and then girls would come in groups of, I would say, 5 or 6, and they would ask them about certain topics like, what does FBI stand for? Who is the Secretary of State at the moment? Who are some people going for the presidential candidacy, etc., etc. They did do a shortened version of this where the judges interviewed people one-on-one, and this was probably the first time that we did see Sammy Finglass, which is the daughter of Kelly Finglass. She interviewed, I believe it was Marissa, and it was very interesting to see because, again, we hadn't really seen her at all during the entire CMT show. Just like pre-COVID, they had some really bad auditions as well, which are always my favorite to watch. Some notable ones: there was a girl dancing in a toilet cubicle, there was a girl dancing on her front lawn, and like one of the neighbors and the dog was walking past as she was dancing. It was very funny. But I think my favorite quote from it all was Judy said, "Oh, she's trying to dance in between two houses." It was very good, but again, I absolutely love seeing all these auditions, and for a lot of people it was a bucket list item to audition for DCC, and people who have never been able to get near Dallas for the in-person auditions were able to do that. Now, a few of the finer details before we get into training camp. For the first time ever, the DCC training camp was held at the Gaylord Texan Resort, and they were able to block off an entire section for the DCC training camp candidates and the staff as well, and that include multiple conference rooms. These were turned into mini studios for the girls to rehearse and practice in, with the main big one being nicknamed the pressure cooker. And let's not forget, they recreated Kelly's infamous office. What I found really interesting was they didn't actually have floorboards like they usually would in the DCC Star, where they would rehearse every day. They just had the regular carpet that was at the hotel, which is obviously very different to dance on in regards to floorboards or the turf as well. But in saying that, they did decorate it really nicely. There was the photos around the walls, there was the lights above as well. They did a really good job at trying to recreate the environment. I'm a bit more convinced that the Gaylord Texan was gifted to them as more of a sponsorship piece due to the amount of times it was featured, the amount of cutaways, opening shots, just exterior images, and how much they mention it by name as well. The girls were there for 2.5 weeks, which turned out to be 16 days, and they were sent 17 routines to learn before they got to training camp. Now we're going to crunch some more numbers. There was 20 rookies in total that went into training camp. Now they were there for the first week of training camp by themselves. There was no veterans at all. It was just the rookies and Kelly and Judy. I feel like this was very smart by Kelly and Judy. They were able to see which girls had picked up the choreography from the 17 dancers they already sent them, and they weren't competing against veterans. It was just them competing against themselves and the other rookies. There was 49 rookies and vets combined, which if they wanted to keep 36 members of the squad, that means 13 people would not make it on the team. Now, something that wasn't shown on CMT making the team was there was another training camp candidate who was selected for training camp who didn't end up actually going. Her name was JC. She's absolutely adorable, and something happened in her life, and obviously during COVID times, things didn't exactly go the way everyone planned, and she wasn't able to make it to Texas to compete for training camp. So the rookie candidates arrived, they're all dressed up, they got their face masks on, and they go up to their rooms and they have a goodie bag on the bed for them. Things inside the goodie bag included a personalised drink bottle, personalised tote bags, sunglasses, and that was the only things we've seen, but I'm sure there is much, much more in them. On to the first rehearsal. Now, I'm not going to go through every single criticism and critique that Kelly and Judy give the girls because that would be insanely long, but I'm just going to give you kind of a little recap on what happened and what the kind of vibe was overall. So firstly, Amelia was studying at SMU. She has never been on a dance team before. She's never done the pom style before, and it definitely shows. Kelly and Judy also noticed that Tori was not studio trained. Sheridan was a comeback girl. She was in training camp in 2016 and unfortunately got cut. Danny was the first to get a compliment. Alora Rose made a lot of mistakes and her pom-pom broke in half, which Kelly and Judy pointed out. Marissa had a really strong start and was able to pick up the style immediately. Something that was very different this year was Kelly with the rookies got up and said, if we want to see you in the office, someone will come and knock on your door before 11 p.m, which would absolutely terrify me if I just had to sit there in my room and wait for a knock at the door and then not know until 11 p.m. So it's like as soon as it knocks over to 11, you're like, I'm safe for the night, everything's good. I think you mainly see Hayley Anderson like knocking on the door and then the girls opening. It's like, okay, I'll just like grab my face mask and come down. Very awkward. They recreated the office absolutely beautifully as well. It kind of seems like they're on one big kind of sound stage and they've just built walls around it. But everything is quite mundane for the next couple of days. On day 4, Amelia was the first one to get cut. She just really could not keep up with the choreography. On day 5, Claire D was cut. She cried and said she was going to try it again next year. Day 6, Charm LaDonna taught on this day. We know Charm LaDonna from last year. She was an amazing choreographer. She really told it how it was. And on this day, Amani had her online graduation from college. Her mum FaceTimed in and they watched the ceremony together, which I thought was really beautiful. Now the veterans enter and this is really exciting. This is where everything really starts to come alive. They interview Lily first, which I feel like was a very calculated choice. She says that her and the other veterans created such a great sisterhood bond together and they had a lot of memories this last year and no one really wants to give that up. Hayley Anderson, who I mentioned before, we all know her as Charlotte Jones's daughter, also Jerry Jones's granddaughter. She comes out and welcomes the veterans back into training camp. We really don't see much of her at all on CMT making the team. I feel like this is the first year we really kind of get to see a lot more of her, but we do learn a lot about her in America's Sweethearts on Netflix. The next person they interview on a confessional is Meredith, and again, I feel like this is a very calculated choice by the producers. Meredith says she is a lot more confident with a whole year under her belt and she is much stronger. Now, as soon as the veterans come back in, Denise DeSherry comes back as a choreographer. We've seen her in the past couple of years. Amazing choreographer. She does wonderful as always, and a lot of the girls still use her dancers on game day today. It's the end of day 7, and Kelly is really starting to see the kind of divide or the level that the rookies should be at compared to the veterans. Shannon was called into the office, and Kelly said, "You were one of my favorites coming into this training camp." Unfortunately, it was just moving way too fast for her, and she ends up being cut. Shannon says she was originally meant to work work on a cruise ship this year, but of course with COVID, cruise ships got cancelled. And I think this was a very telling moment for Kelly and Judy, that they realised that not everybody is there because it's their number one first dream. A lot of people had to pivot their ideas and what they were going to do with life, and this was just something that people would try out for. Next, Sheridan gets called into the office, the comeback girl, and it was very funny. She kept accidentally calling Kelly girl. She was like, "Oh girl, like today was so long." Kelly then says, "Can I give you some professional advice?" And Sheridan says, "Oh yes, of course." And she goes, "Could you stop calling me girl?" And Sheridan was like, "I am so sorry, ma'am. Like, I am a Texas girl." And it was just a very funny moment. I couldn't even imagine being like, "Girl," to Kelly and Judy. Like, that's just wild. Especially because, again, you're in Texas. On to day 8, they head to AT&T Stadium for a field practice. And this is quite interesting because they didn't know if they were actually going to be performing on the field this whole season. They had a few of the guest judges up in the suites as well who were able to see from a fan's point of view how the girls were tracking and looking on the field. Everyone's favourite Melissa Rycroft is back, and she said that Lily wasn't dancing at her best or wasn't looking very great. Kelly said that Lily did have a strong year though. The next cut that night was Annabelle. Kelly got really emotional with this one as well and started to get teary once Annabelle left. It felt like they really connected a lot with these rookies, especially because there was no veterans early on. And Kelly said that Annabelle was her favourite out of the whole rookie bunch, which is kind of awkward for the rest of the rookies watching this. Sheridan, the comeback girl, was also cut. The next day, Travis Wall enters as a guest choreographer. Again, this is all virtual, by the way, so they're zooming in from screens. The only people they're seeing in real life are the DCC staff that are in the bubble with them, especially Kelly and Judy. Travis's dance was absolutely amazing. It was kind of like a very medium-paced dance, very flowy. It really stood out to me as one of my favourite kind of pieces from a guest choreographer in recent years. Armani looked absolutely amazing doing it, and Meredith didn't catch his eye at all. Hannah didn't get noticed by Travis whatsoever, and she made a fair few mistakes on her pom style routines that they performed for Travis after they did his choreography. And we're back to the way where Kelly gets up and says, "Before everyone leaves tonight, I want to see this person and this person in my office. Everyone else is free to leave." And she says Hannah and Meredith. Now, the camera's on Meredith when she says this, and Meredith's face just goes like pale white. She looks shocking. She looks so upset. You can kind of see just all the energy, all the life drain out of her. Once everyone is dismissed, Meredith just absolutely starts bawling her eyes out. She says she's not feeling as confident as she was yesterday, and this year is a lot more fast-paced. I feel like last year they definitely spoon-fed her a lot and held her hand through the process, but this year it's 2.5 weeks compared to 8, 9, 10 weeks that it was last year. So if you don't know the dance, you're pretty much cut at this point. In a confessional, Kelly says, "We have 7 more cuts to make and I don't see them all being rookies." Now the editing on the coming up next segment is wild. So Meredith says, "I'm confident I'm in the top 36," and then in a confessional, and then it cuts to Kelly telling Meredith, "You are not in the top 36. So again, absolutely wild editing for them to just come out and say that. Now, all the emotions from last year are flooding back to Meredith. The critiques were she's not the strongest in the room, Travis wanted more from her, and Kelly doesn't want to see Meredith in the same place as she was last year because she is a veteran and expectations are higher. Meredith breaks down crying again, and Kelly says just go out there and own the dance floor. We then see Kelly and Judy talk to Hannah, and Kelly says that Hannah is not her strongest self this year. She just looks off. Hannah says she's just kind of struggling with life in general right now given everything that's happening in the world. It does seem very personal to her, and she also mentions she's got finals and projects due with school during this week that she is in training camp, so there's a lot on her plate. Day 10, I can't believe we're over halfway through training camp. Showmanship mentor Melissa Rycroft joins in virtually and brings in year 3 veteran Caroline as she works with Jada and Ashlyn. This was really great to see Caroline step up into more of a leadership role during this time and help out some rookies like Jada and Ashlyn. And again, it's really great to see Jada during this time because as we know, we've just seen her retire on America's Sweetheart, so to go back and see her in her rookie year was amazing. Kicking off the regular rehearsals, Kashera comes in and helps out with the warm-up. Her lower third title on her confessional says DCC staff / former DCC, which is the first time she's been recognised as a staff member now. But it is really good to see her back because she has been a fan favourite for many years. Judy and Kelly tell the girls that tonight is a show and sell night, so they won't be learning any new choreography, but they just want them to show them what they've learned so far, just to make sure they are all on the same page and everyone is performing to their absolute best. Laura Rose gets critiqued again for cutting moves off, and this is probably the third time I've rewatched this season, and I didn't realise how often Laura Rose was getting critiqued. Compared to others, it's a lot more. Kelly and Judy praise Kat, saying she's brought a newfound confidence and her new wig looks great. Kelly then brings up Imani's application, where Imani said that one of her dance teachers mentioned to her she's not going to get very far in dance. Kelly said that's absolutely not what we're seeing here at DCC training camp and that she is doing amazing so far. Judy calls out Meredith again and makes her redo the steps that she's messed up. Now, this would be my biggest fear as a veteran, is having to redo the steps you have been taught already in front of rookies, in front of your veteran sisters. Kelly and Judy also praise Mackenzie a lot during this episode and says she looks very strong. She's definitely one that flew under the radar for the most of training camp. She didn't really have anything like stand out. She'd never had anything wrong with her. She was just doing her job. Now 43 training camp candidates remain, and Melissa joins in with Judy and Kelly in a roundtable discussion. Melissa said that Kat turned her maybe into a yes, and they all had a maybe on Hannah and Kristen. Kristen was one of those girls, I really don't know how she made it through because she definitely wasn't the strongest dancer. I feel like there was a lot more dynamic. I personally think Kristen shouldn't have made the team in the first place, and she definitely got lucky throughout the years. She just kind of floated on by. Now we see the full chart, and Laura Rose is not in the top 36 at this stage. Kelly asks Melissa's opinion on cutting a veteran, and Melissa gives such like a pageant answer, like she didn't even answer the question. Now on to day 11 of DCC training camp, and they are 7 girls over roster. Like mentioned 1,000 times before, this training camp was very different to every other training camp, so today was show group / finals solos. Kitty Carter is one of the guest judges for this show group audition, so we see her virtually, and I'm pretty sure this is the last time we ever see Kitty Carter on DCC making the team, because she's definitely not featured the next year, and I don't believe she's featured whatsoever on Netflix America's Sweethearts. Now, I don't remember much of the football season during the COVID year, but I don't think they had a crazy amount of show group auditions, so it was very interesting that they actually did do them. Kelly praised Hannah's solo, as well as Mackenzie, Jada, Caroline, Kelsey, and Claire. She also mentions that Kat really needs to prove herself. And now, I'm not usually one to blame the edit, but Kristen's solo really wasn't the greatest, and CMT making the team has been known to not wanting to pay copyright for music, so they use the most basic and bland, absolutely no licensed music whatsoever. They played this like fast poppy paced song for Kristen's solo, and I remember at the time of airing, Kristen actually spoke out and said that they edited it so poorly, and her dance was actually meant to do with the Black Lives Matter movement. She posted her full solo, which looked nothing like what was shown on CMT making the team. Kelly and Judy both said it was sluggish, it wasn't on the beat, and it was not fun to watch. Now, I truly laughed out loud at the next bit, where country music singer Neil McCoy, who has 0 accolades in dance whatsoever, said that was really good, and all the judges looked so confused and almost disgusted at his answer. Charlotte Jones said, I thought that was awful. The music did not go with the dance steps whatsoever. Neil said, really? And Kelly said, I thought it was awful, and Kitty Carter agreed as well. Now, there was a lot of praise for Meredith's lyrical solo. Kelly said it was really strong. Now, they move on to smaller groups where they will do dances that they have learnt already. They do Thunderstruck, and Victoria, who we haven't mentioned at all because she, again, has flown very much under the radar. Victoria was point in her little group that she did it with. She was absolutely amazing at it, and when they kind of go back and they're all in line, Laura Rose was dancing next to Victoria, and Melissa said you can really see how much of a difference there is. Laura Rose lacks so much power next to a dynamite dancer like Victoria. Rehearsal is over, and it's time for office visits. Now, Meredith gets called into the office, and Kelly says that she's absolutely being outdanced in the room, and it is also an uphill battle with her. Kelly says she doesn't want to delay the inevitable and that tonight will be Meredith's last night. Meredith is obviously bawling her eyes out. She says that it doesn't feel real, and if they could just give her more time so she can work on timing or get with her group leader or work with the veterans a bit more. And Callie says she just doesn't think it's going to happen in time given the short amount of time the training camp is. Again, we have to remember this training camp is literally just over 2 weeks and the veterans are there for just over a week. Meredith asks if she should try it again next year or is that not advised. And Callie says if you're serious about it, definitely take as much power pump classes as you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, that's where she needs to work on, is the style of DCC. Meredith really struggles to come to terms with the cut, saying that she came back stronger and better, but unfortunately the rookies were stronger and better than Meredith. Now we kick off day 13 of training camp and we see a few COVID-19 protocols that are in place, such as temperature checks when they check in, which feels like such a throwback. I haven't seen that at all recently. They interview Lily right off the bat and Lily says she's obviously very upset about Meredith's cut, as last year they made the team together and that is one of her fondest memories she will hold on to forever. I feel like it's also very important to know that we haven't really had a big criticism for Brennan or Lily. They've only been very, very minor, such as Lily having a stiff neck when she dances, and Ashley and Brennan not knowing the dance kind of a little bit, but again, nothing really major. Sideline reporter Christy tunes in as a guest judge for this session, and I absolutely love seeing her. She's been around the Cowboys organization for years, and she's really respected in the DCC world. On to office visits, they call Meredith into the office first. Meredith says she feels very proud of what she's been doing here. Callie mentions she is being outdanced by rookies in the room. Brennan gets very emotional and says she's had a very rough off season. She got diagnosed with COVID-19 in April and that really affected her. Now this was before the vaccines came out. As we remember, COVID kind of shut down the world in March, so this happening in April really took effect on her. She said she was extremely sick. She had body aches all over. She lost her sense of taste and smell and she was just miserable. She was out of breath walking a mile. She really couldn't even get her stamina up. She goes on to say she wouldn't be here if she doesn't think she could bring her absolute best self and be better than she was last year. Now, rookie Cassie gets called in and Callie and Judy say her kicks are pretty much not up to standard and they won't get there in time, so she is ultimately cut. They advise her she does have the ability to make the team. They just advise she needs a little bit more training. She spoke really professionally and mentions that she plans on returning. Spoiler alert, I don't think we ever see her again, unfortunately, so I really hope she's doing well. And the next day we had media training, one of my favorite days. A few small mistakes here and there. Ashlyn didn't do well whatsoever. And then Charlotte Jones asked Kat how the internet works and Kat was like, I don't know, all these cords and wires and things in the air and they all connect and it's how we're talking today. It was a very funny answer by Kat. She really just did play it off and she did herself a lot of favors in doing so. Now this night they had a thunderstorm tornado warning and they all had to retreat into like the bottom of the Gaylord Texan Resort, and I feel like this was very dramatized for the show. They did like a number count, like a buddy system, and they would give it a number and you had to like repeat it again. I don't think you're gonna lose anyone in the Gaylord Texan basement, but it was just very funny to see. But I feel like it was kind of just a rehearsal or like a drill if anything did happen. And what I found really interesting here was this was the first time Callie said, we have been thunderstruck, literally. This is the first time that Callie or Judy, I think, have even mentioned thunderstruck in CMT making the team days, because as we know, as I said before, there is no way CMT was paying for the rights for the song Thunderstruck, so they just always referred to it as the signature dance or like the opening dance. They never ever called it by its name Thunderstruck, which we do see a lot more on Netflix, America's Sweethearts. So for Callie to come out and say that, it was pretty much a little like fourth wall break. It is day 15 and they say that this is the final studio rehearsal for training camp. Rookie Marissa mentions there is 2 more days to go and 5 more cuts to be made. Callie addresses the entire group and says, right now it's down to the point where you have to wow her. So everybody does need to grab her attention while they're dancing. Because of all the amazing talent, this is a very tough year for them. All the girls in the room do have the skills to make the team. They just need to wow her. At the end, Judy jumps in and says, I've got one more thing to say. And she says, I just want you guys to know how much we admire y'all. She gets very emotional, which is quite rare for Judy. She says she really admires the process and how hard everyone has worked and put their lives on hold for this. And she just really admires everyone here. Whilst dancing, dancing, Kelly says, I've just watched Gina and I've just watched Lily, and it's like going from a 10 to a 5. Kelly and Judy both reckon Lily is getting in her head again, which she does at this point of training camp in the past 2 years. The next group come in and Kelly and Judy both praise Alora Rose for this, saying her hair is looking amazing and it is bouncing perfectly. Because again, we didn't get rookie makeovers really this year because of the pandemic, which is wild because that was such a significant part of DCC training camp. They say that Alora is dancing really big and she needs to take a lot of the corrections and apply them to her dancing. They say that veteran Brianna looks like she's almost dancing in slow motion. Now Kelly and Judy go away and they look at who is in the top 36 at the moment. And the people who are not in the top 36 are Brennan, Kristen, Brianna, Lily, and rookie Tori. I paused on this and I had a look at the board for a little bit and it was just crazy to see some of the dancers in there. Like I haven't seen veteran Sienna whatsoever this training camp, or even Savannah, who was such a vibrant dancer. We have really not seen them whatsoever, maybe in the very background, but nothing where I've noticed. But it's also interesting to see who the highest rated rookies are during this time. Marissa was the highest ranking rookie. Not far behind her was Claire and Allie. They chat about multiple girls during this time and they said Hannah has been a hit or a miss and Lily is the lowest ranked training camp candidate. And then we have like a really big continuity problem right here. So that conversation happened for not even like 10 seconds and then they cut back to the board and there are people in different spots. Like in the second shot, it shows that Alora Rose was not in the top 36 where she was in the last shot about 5-10 seconds ago. So they really couldn't make up their mind and they weren't done seeing the girls dance. So they brought back a select group of girls. Now they didn't want to make an absolute final decision just yet. They wanted to see the girls dance a little bit more, but only a select few. So they brought back a small group of girls to dance for them in the studio. Now this included Brennan, Lily, Brianna, Hannah, Alora Rose, Tori, Ashlyn, Kristen, and Jessica. Caroline was also in there, which was very interesting, and I feel like maybe it's just because she is one of the stronger veterans, so maybe they wanted to compare the girls to Caroline. But on the show, they did not address the fact that she was dancing, and they didn't really talk about it whatsoever or show her dancing. Judy would then call up specific girls to do a dance and then swap girls out, just to kind of see like the levels they are on the power pom style in comparison to one another. Following this last rehearsal, Kelly gets a call saying that there has been a positive COVID test. Her and Judy kind of freak out a little bit. They say that no one has had a high temperature whatsoever. However, they do say they're going to quarantine everybody for 14 days. But in saying that, they had already made up their mind with a few of the cuts and they didn't want to delay that. So the way they had to deliver these cuts were virtual, which honestly sucks. Kelly says she feels awful for doing it this way, but it's just the day and age and the current time where they have to do that. And it has to be done this way, unfortunately. Now, we don't know who they are or how many Kelly is calling up until we see their face pop up on the Zoom call. If you're a fan of the show and you watched this in real time and you already had spoilers, so you knew who was being cut, it wasn't a surprise on who was being cut, but it was just really awkward and devastating to watch. Like, it felt really uncomfortable to watch these conversations unfold. It was a hard watch and I did feel really awkward sitting there. I was like, I feel like I'm invading on someone's personal conversation almost at this point. Like I mentioned, Lily was first and I feel like they probably could have handled things a little bit better. Because as we remember, Lily's very first year on the team, she was cut on the final night of training camp without receiving any office visits, maybe a few small critiques here and there, but absolutely no prior warning that she was going to get cut. So I'm sure for her, this was a very traumatizing experience for this all to kind of happen again for her. Kelly said it wasn't something they saw straight away, but it kind of became very clear in the final stages of them making the team. Lily starts defending herself a lot here and says she believes she brings a lot of good qualities to the team. She says this is really heartbreaking, for lack of a better term, if this is the path on what Kelly is taking this down, if this is what Kelly is telling her, if this is a conversation of her not making the team this year. Kelly responds to her saying, you have been an excellent first year cheerleader, and you can just kind of feel the rage coming out of Lily with a bit of an eye roll as well happening in there. You can really see that she's fighting to not say what she wants and to try and remain as poised and professional as she possibly can be. Kelly says she's sorry, but the scores are really just not ranking Lily in the team. Lily says, is there anything I can do to change y'all's mind? She says that this means absolutely everything to her, these relationships, this organization, it means absolutely everything to her. And it really feels like Kelly doesn't want to officially say it or be the one to actually say that you are being cut and you will not be making this team. And she really beats around the bush a lot with it. It's really said without being said, and Lily said, well, she wasn't going to give up without a fight, as that's what her veteran sisters told her to do. And Callie just reiterates how great of a cheerleader Lily was last year. Lily then hangs up the call and it looks like she's about to burst into tears, which totally understand. I would be too. But I do want to give you guys some positive news on Lily. The following year, she tried out for the Denver Broncos cheerleaders. She made the team. She's re-auditioned every year since and made the team. No issues. She looks like she's living her best life. And previously, the year just gone, she was a Pro Bowl cheerleader, which is a huge accomplishment. She's also married, and it really seems like she found her purpose with the Denver Broncos cheerleaders organization. So I'm so extremely happy for her that she was able to continue to live out her dream of being an NFL cheerleader. Next up, we have Brennan, and Callie says she's gone through all her notes on Brennan. The first year she made the team was her absolute strongest, and she has declined every year since then. Brennan looks like she's holding back a lot, and she is really just smirking through this and shaking her head at pretty much everything that Callie says during this. And she's really trying not to get emotional during this time. It kind of seems like Callie really wanted to cut straight to the point with this one because of how difficult it was to kind of beat around the bush with Lily. So she just kind of wants to rip it off like a band-aid almost. She says, we're moving forward with a team of 36 and ultimately you are not on that team. Callie thanks her for her time in the organization and for being such a great teammate and ambassador. Brennan pauses and says, I have a lot of things to say, but I don't want to go out on a negative note, but she gave everything to this team and it's very disappointing to see the direction in which the team was going, which kind of took a lot of people back, not only the viewers, but Callie and Judy as well. She says America's Sweethearts are not only about performance, but being an all-rounded, well-educated woman, and that she believes she is all of those things. And she says she already knows that Lily got cut, in which Callie and Judy kind of looked a little bit surprised, but I'm not sure why they would be surprised because I feel like, I don't know, if I just got cut, I would let all of my 35 best friends know that I've just been cut and I would want them around for support. Brennan said this is a sad day for DCC and she wraps it up there and ends the call. Callie and Judy say they were quite taken back by a lot of Brennan's comments during that time, especially on the one on the way, the direction that DCC is going. She also believes that Brennan was texting the whole time, like she was looking down at her lap and texting. Obviously that was kind of hard for us to see because we didn't get to see the full call, but there must have been like a bright light coming out of her lap or something, so very interesting. Callie says she feels like she's not having very good closure conversations with these girls on their exits of DCC, and Judy agrees with her, which is really surprising to me because Meredith, Brennan, Lily had all tried out multiple times and weren't able to make the team their first time trying out. For them to come back, work in that off season and again dedicate the time to DCC, they could have gone to any other organisation, but you can't really audition for other teams after DCC, like that's kind of it. So for them to be cut, especially during a pandemic where they're giving up so much to give to the organisation and being their best dancers and their best selves they possibly can be, it's not going to go down well. They're not going to kind of accept it and move on. It's, again, a very tough situation that everyone's in. Now, before they start the next call, Judy says she reckons that this one is going to be the worst, and it definitely was as soon as you saw Hannah's face pop up. Hannah says hello in a very kind of sarcastic way. We've never kind of seen this side of her before. Callie says, oh, you're not in your room? Why are you out in the hallway? And Hannah says, I'm just out here comforting my friends. Which again, they're all meant to be in like a 14-day quarantine lockdown because of the positive COVID test that was going around. This also puts Judy and Callie in a very uncomfortable situation. The fact that they know that Hannah isn't alone, they can't see anyone around her or behind her or anything, but they know she's in the hallway with friends, so they're having a conversation that is not private, which I feel like is a very awkward position to put Callie and Judy in. And I don't think Callie would say, hey, can we do this in private? Because you can't force Hannah to go back into her room and do this. She's getting cut anyway, and she knows that. It would have just been an entirely awkward conversation, and I feel like Callie just wants to get this over and done with. Callie wants to let Hannah know that her solo was amazing, but she just really couldn't keep up with the power pom style. It wasn't holding up, and it wasn't scoring as well as it should be for a third-year veteran. Hannah keeps it very civil and says, I understand that's a choice you have to make. There are a lot of strong girls here, and she pretty much finishes up the call as quickly as she can. So that's it for the veteran cuts, and next up they had Ashla. Now they told her she needs a lot more of communication-based training because her media training was absolutely horrible, and a little bit more of skill training. Nothing too crazy, it was just this year was a very strong group of girls, so it was really hard to compete. They said they really just couldn't come to terms with replacing her with a veteran. It has been a really strong rookie class, and Judy says to her, I do think you can make this team, just not this year. It's very, very strong. The Zoom call ends, and they said they're really hopeful that she'll try it again next year because they really both like her a lot. Tori is also cut as well during this time, and it was a very similar situation minus the communication. She's a very strong dancer. They do think she can make this team if she comes back next year, but the editing in this is so funny. Then it just cuts to Tori with like her mask on, her backpack on, her hair like tied up, even though during the Skype it was down, and she's just saying to the cameras like, thanks guys, I had so much fun. Like, it's kind of cut how it's like she's literally ended the Zoom call and then she's just gone and just like packed up and left already, which is definitely not the case. Like, she would still be checked into her hotel room. It's late at night. She would still be kind of sobbing and getting emotional support from friends and family. But just the way it was edited, it was like she's literally just closed her laptop and just walked straight out of the Gaylord Texan Resort. Now, whatever COVID test it was came back as a false positive. I'm pretty sure we end up determining that it was Tess. That is what I have heard from the online forums online. This was not mentioned on the show, but I'm fairly sure it was Tess. Now, Callie says once everything's done, she wants to have one more field rehearsal because she hasn't quite made up her mind yet. However, I feel like this is just an excuse to get everyone together to officially announce the team. We do see rookie Sydney come back in, and she had kind of very straight hair. Now, she is a woman of color, she is African American, and she ends up coming out with these beautiful bouncy curls, and I'm so excited for her because she was a Pro Bowl cheerleader for the Atlanta Falcons. So absolutely seeing her, she was a one and done, unfortunately. Once she did make the team, she only cheered for a season. I wish we got to see more of her, but she looked like such an amazing dancer at DCC. But just with makeovers in general, it's so interesting to see what the girls would have actually looked like if they got an official proper rookie makeover like they do every other year, and how different things would be. It also looks like Amani is now wearing a wig because her hair length and volume has doubled in size in 14 days. But I just want to say it looks absolutely gorgeous on her and suits her so well. Addressing the group immediately, Callie says she needs to get a few things off her chest, and she gets really emotional talking about this. She said she's not happy with the way that training camp ended so abruptly. Obviously, that was out of her control, and that a lot of girls here lost teammates. Callie says she understands how those girls feel because after her first year, her rookie year, her best friend Tina Kalina got cut. Tina, obviously we know, is Victoria's mum, and Callie said that she felt every emotion possible. She felt angry, she felt sad, she felt mad. She said she was absolutely devastated to go into her next year without her best friend. NFL guidelines. Now, the NFL guidelines have come out and says that cheerleaders were not allowed to perform on the turf during games. Luckily for AT&T Stadium, they had these massive end zone decks where there was a platform at both ends, but Callie doesn't even know if they're going to be able to fit 36 across both ends. Because of the famous pre-game routine Thunderstruck, they do end up filming that in advance on the turf so they can play it on the screens at home games. They do the formation for Thunderstruck, and Maddie is the first point of the triangle, which 100% as it should be because she is incredible. And the next point is Rachel W., who has a controversial past. Again, I think she's absolutely gorgeous. She is a former Miss America contestant, I believe, for South Carolina, North Carolina, I don't know. But I don't think her dancing is as strong as her looks. Charlotte Jones then comes out and announces that everyone has made the team, everyone's happy, they all get their uniforms, and as well as a different kind of situation this year, they give the veterans back their uniforms as well, as a sign of the tough times that they've endured. And that is pretty much the infamous COVID training camp bubble. Throughout the entire NFL season, the girls danced on the decks, and they wore face masks the entire time as well. I'm pretty sure it was mandatory to wear face masks at football games. A lot of people obviously didn't because it was America, but the girls were forced to, and they had like these blue ones that matched the exact same shade as their tops. But it's so interesting. It fully changed the way the Cowboys organization did audition processes going forward, and it's something they've adapted to during this day and age now. I think a couple of things I missed the most from pre-COVID audition times was the panel interviews. I always thought they were a great insight onto the girls and how knowledgeable they were, but also the open audition where anyone could come out and try. But now I'm pretty sure they just have like a quiz that they do throughout training camp. We did see it a tiny bit on America's Sweetheart Season 2. I think someone asked what Jerry Jones's role was at the Cowboys, and they didn't get it right, which I feel like is, I don't know, I just feel like that's basic knowledge, you should know who the owner is and what their job is within the Cowboys organization. I know some of you guys didn't like me rambling too much at the start of my video, so I'm going to ramble a little bit now, but thank you guys again for watching. I do a ton of DCC videos, so if you haven't seen any of my other DCC videos, get on it. There is a lot there. There is a lot of tea being spilled. There is a lot of recaps on what's going on, including this year's training camp candidates. But as I'm filming this, today is the very first game day. I'm pretty sure Cowboys are playing against the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens. So, and I'm pretty sure they didn't win. I just looked at the score. But yeah, football season is officially kicked off, so hopefully we don't see the amount of drama that we saw last year with Kadiana and Shandi, but there is so much going on in the DCC world, so make sure you keep an eye out. I'm pretty sure they are also filming season 3. They have the exact same camera crew there as they have the past 2 years, and they're filming absolutely everything from Meet the Team, cameo days, and rookie makeovers back, and they did have Charlotte Tilbury back at training camp when they had the rookie makeovers. As we know, Charlotte Tilbury makeup brand is one of the biggest sponsors for DCC, so it's really exciting to see actually Charlotte Tilbury be there. I would absolutely love you guys to send in requests on what kind of videos you want me to do as well. This was one of my highly requested videos. If you guys go down to my description, you will see a form you can fill out, a deep dive request form. You can remain completely anonymous as well. Just let me know what you guys want to see. I want to make content that everyone wants to see, so pop it in there. This was one of my highly requested videos, was the COVID year, so I'm glad I was able to do a little recap on what that whole situation was like, because again, I remember living it. It was crazy. I specifically remember the day that all the cuts happened and the girls made their posts and the online forums were going absolutely insane. While you're down in the description though, don't forget to give this video a like if you've gotten this far, and let me know what your favorite or like wildest thing about this training camp was to you. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another DCC video from me. I have many more coming, and don't forget you can keep up with me in real time. You can follow me on my Instagram and TikTok, Charlotte Scott with an extra T at the end and an underscore. Send me a message. I love to chat to you guys about DCC and everything else in between. One last thing, I'm heading over to America in a couple of months and I'm really excited. I've been there multiple times. I've actually lived in America before as well, but I wanted to do a couple of, I don't know, like reactions or reviews to some things, like Australians trying this for the first time. So if that's something you want to see, please let me know. Or if there's something specifically you want me to try when I'm in America. I feel like most of my followers, according to my analytics, are American. So if there's anything you want to see me try or react to, please let me know. I'm really excited. I'm going to LA and New York, and I think just a couple of like day trips around California as well. So really excited about it. Again, please send me a message. Don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.